Should be pretty dope.
Okay. It still stays live,
Dude,
right?
I'm gonna take this chair out, Ryan.
Sure. It still stays live. Oh yeah. Let's go. I have 2 minutes to get on.
Alright, peace, dude. Bye, dude.
Okay. Hello, everybody. We'll be on in a minute or two. We just got to set it up. We're also live on Instagram Live as well and on Facebook Live. Should be an exciting day for the J Report inaugural show. Yeah, whoever's just in, can you see me if I get rid of this tab? Hopefully everyone can see me. That'd be a bummer. Just gotta call in.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. To start your show now, press 1. To hear important instructions. Your show is...
Okay, we're on it. We're on in 17 seconds, everybody. Close to getting it started. Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to the J Report podcast live on Blog Talk Radio. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, whether you're on Blog Talk Radio, on my website, thejreport.com, Instagram Live. You can follow us at JReport or on Facebook, facebook.com/JRReport. We have a loaded show for you guys today over the next 30 minutes. It's just a 30-minute show today, not very long. But we have a lot of information and topics to get to. We want to discuss UNC and Duke. That tips off tonight at 8:15 on ESPN. The NFL Scouting Combine is underway. We saw what John Ross did running the 40. We have NFL free agency to discuss. A few key players have been resigned. They've been cut. We've also seen a few players been franchise tagged over the past few days. There's trade rumors. There's everything to talk about. And also, please call in throughout the show. The link is also online on Facebook, or if you visit the JR Report page, it should be there. The number to call into the radio show is 516-387-1488. I hope everyone will tune in there. It'll be awesome. I want to hear your guys' opinions, hear your guys' thoughts, and this show is for the fans. So, there's a few things I want to get started on before we get to Duke-UNC. The first is NFL free agency, just a few topics. The Bills, there's a rumor that they don't want to retain Tyrod Taylor. I personally think it's sort of dumb. I don't know exactly where they're drafting. I'm going to look that up right now because, unless they think they're going to get a quarterback. But where they're drafting, I feel like you would be looking at a Deshaun Watson type deal, and it doesn't make sense. Is Deshaun Watson that much different from Tyrod Taylor? I would keep Tyrod Taylor for a short-term deal if that's possible, because you don't want to get rid of a quarterback and then have nothing there. But then again, I do understand if they want to just start from scratch. And Wyeth, I see Wyeth Coulter's comment there. Thank you for commenting. But I want to say that I'm on the phone because that's how Blog Talk Radio works. That's how I connect to the radio. That's how I connect to people who want to call in. Is by doing it on the phone. So back to Tyrod Taylor. I'm sort of indifferent on keeping him. If you can keep him for a good amount of money, not long term, then you have to do it. If you have to pay him a lot of money long term, then you have to let him walk because he's not going to be a Pro Bowl quarterback. He's an average guy, a stopgap guy. He'll quarterback isn't going to be your weakness, but it's not going to be your strength. You're not going to be winning playoff games with Tyrod Taylor, but your team's not going to be terrible. So I mean that's the main thing with Tyrod Taylor. For Kansas City, Eric Berry, he's the highest paid safety in the league. 6 years, $78 million, $13 million a year. That is way more money than I ever thought anyone would get. I also want to give a shout out to Ethan Lampert for joining in. Duke-UNC tonight. I would love for you to call into the show after I get to my Duke-UNC segment. I'm on the phone with Blog Talk Radio. That's how we call in. You call into the show with your phone. That's how I host it. Is through the phone. So back to football. Eric Berry, highest paid safety, $13 million a year. Last year, Weddle, I think, was the highest paid safety, and he was around just $10 million a year. So, I mean, that's $3 million more than Eric Weddle. They overpaid a lot for Eric Berry. I don't quite understand it. They obviously thought that he was a much more important player than Dontari Poe. Because they got Eric Berry done long term, and they still didn't want to franchise tag Poe. So I would have assumed that if they couldn't get a deal done with Berry, then they probably would have franchise tagged him. I'm just looking at it. So the franchise tag would be $10.6 million. This is as of last year, so maybe a little higher. So, I mean, he's going $3 million more than the franchise tag, which is pretty crazy. I don't quite agree with Kansas City doing that. That's a lot of money, and you're not going to probably end up being able to keep Poe, especially for a safety. You got to build at the cornerback positions. We saw a few years ago with the Oakland Raiders, they paid a lot of money to the safeties, and they didn't pay attention to the cornerbacks. Michael Huff, Tyvon Branch. We saw what happened. They didn't have a good defense. So we're moving on. The New York Jets, they're clearing house. They've cut Brandon Marshall and Darrelle Revis. Darrelle Revis, not really sure what ended up happening with him when it comes to, whatever felony he was charged with is surprising. I don't know what the deal is with him. It makes sense to cut him. He's due a ridiculous amount of money. With Brandon Marshall, it makes sense. They're cutting everyone. They're going to start over. It's similar to what the Raiders did 4 years ago when Reggie McKenzie came in, and we see what's happened. Now they're a Super Bowl contending team with Derek Carr. So, the Jets, they should get rid of everyone until they can figure out their quarterback situation. They need to draft someone. And the problem is with teams this year is it's hard to like any of the quarterbacks in the draft. You talk to Mike Mayock, who's on NFL Network, and he doesn't really have any of them with a first-round grade. So it doesn't make sense to reach on a quarterback unless you have to. Because if you draft the wrong quarterback, that's going to set you back 3 to 4 years. You're drafting the wrong quarterback. We saw this, we're going to get to this a little bit later, but with Washington, they're trying to trade Kirk Cousins. That doesn't make any sense to me, right? I mean, you're going to give up a quarterback. You shouldn't draft one this year. I mean, Trubisky is the guy who played 1 year of football at North Carolina, and he's supposed to go number 2. The Browns are thinking about drafting him at 1. I think that's bullshit. I think they're just trying to get maybe someone to trade up with them to 1 because they think that Trubisky will be gone at 2 if they fall down. Like the Niners are at 2. Well, the Niners, we'll also get to this, but Colin Kaepernick did not pick up his option. So the Niners have 0 quarterbacks on their roster at the moment. 0 quarterbacks. So they're going to have to draft one. There's no doubt about it. There's been a lot of rumors that it's going to be Mitch Trubisky at 2. But the Browns are saying they might draft them at 1. So this is interesting. Are the Browns, this is what I think. Obviously, I have no sources to confirm this, but because I don't see the Browns, I don't see Hugh Jackson trying to get to draft Trubisky number 1 overall. I think they're just trying to use that as leverage. Get the Niners to try and trade up to 1. Browns fall back to 2. Then the Browns will take Myles Garrett, who, that dude's going to be a stud. There's no way around it, and you just look in the draft. Going defense is a proven way. You see it where Jadeveon Clowney is. You see it where Khalil Mack is, Aaron Donald. Going defense is how you build a team. Quarterbacks at the very best are a 50-50 proposition, and you really shouldn't take one high unless you believe he's going to be a great quarterback, unless he's an Andrew Luck. Robert Griffin, when he did come out, tough to say because of the knee injuries. That probably leads to where he is now as, a below-average quarterback. But, Peyton Manning, guys like that. Marcus Mariota, we've seen that are pretty surefire. Jameis Winston. Just guys that coming out of college are going to be at least solid quarterbacks. None of them coming out this year have that same feeling, so I think you should stay clear. Wait until next year, until a big-time player is coming out. We saw it last year with Jared Goff. I mean, he's pretty bad. Wentz was a complete, he's not even coming from a FCS school, so, a lot of risk coming with Wentz and a lot of risk coming with Jared Goff, and both of them, Goff did not pan out at all. Wentz a little bit luckier, but it's a complete crapshoot when you're drafting a quarterback. So if you're not sure, don't take him. This goes back now to the Redskins. There's a proposed trade going around the league that would send Tony Romo to the Redskins, Cousins to the Niners, and draft picks to the Cowboys. Obviously, this makes a ton of sense if you're the Cowboys. You get draft picks, and you get rid of Tony Romo's contract. If you're the Niners, you pair Shanahan and Cousins together. I would say if you're the Niners, I would go ahead and do that right away. I think that's a great deal because, chances are you're not going to find a quarterback as good as Kirk Cousins anywhere, so you might as well and go ahead and do it. We move on. Sorry, to go back to the Redskins, and then if you're the Redskins, the only reason to get rid of Kirk Cousins is because you owe him $23 million. Well, he's a young quarterback. He's only 27, 28. And why would they want to bring in Tony Romo? It doesn't make any sense to bring in Tony Romo. He's old, injury prone, and he's due $20-something million. So you're not really saving any money by bringing Tony Romo. You're going to bring in an older player and an injury prone player. How is that going to help you get better? If you're going to be bad and get a good draft pick. Don't be, 7-9 with Tony Romo and just be in the middle of the pack, never getting a good quarterback, never getting top draft picks to make your team better. It's stupid. The Redskins are poorly run. They need to fix the Cousins trade. You have to pay the man. Just suck it up. That's just the way it is. You're unlucky that you have a good quarterback and not an elite quarterback, but it's better to have a good quarterback than to have no quarterback. Or to have a Tony Romo who's old and you're going to owe him $21 million. It's not like the Redskins are a Super Bowl contender if they get Tony Romo. It's not like he's better than Kirk Cousins. That's there's no way of knowing that. So that's pretty much everything with the NFL, with NFL free agency. The one thing I want to say is Brandon Marshall got released. As the Oakland Raider fan that I am, I would love to see him in Oakland. He's a guy who I know wants to win, never played in a playoff game. Oakland is a sleeper. He's also interested in New England. He's probably going to be a bargain sign. I don't think he's going to ask for a ton of money. Bill Belichick likes those types of players. Get 1 or 2 years and then say goodbye. If you're Oakland, Crabtree and Cooper are not the biggest receivers. Really help Derek Carr in the red zone. In addition, it gives them that third option. Yeah, Seth Roberts is okay, but I think that's more because of who Derek Carr is and not because of Seth Roberts. So something to watch out there. Jairus Byrd and Jamal Charles also got cut this week. Not too surprising, both, injury-prone, older players with big paydays. I quickly want to go to this before we move to the NFL Combine, and then our big segment, Duke versus North Carolina. So Kevin Durant, we all saw his injury today. Not today, but this past week. I think everyone needs to calm down on the Golden State Warriors. Everyone's overreacting. Every show that you turn into, whether it's Colin Cowherd, Stephen A. Smith, or whatever, they're saying, it's over. The Cleveland Cavaliers are going to win this year's NBA championship. But that's horseshit. right? I mean, the Cavs don't have Kevin Love right now. But, so why aren't they saying the same thing about the Cleveland Cavaliers? Oh, they don't have Love, so it's over. The Warriors don't have Durant, it's over, right? It should be the same argument. But in reality, both those injuries don't really matter if they are what everyone thinks they are, right? You know, Kevin Durant is going to be back before the playoffs. Same with Kevin Love, right? Are the Warriors and Cavs going to lose in the first or second round? No way. So, you know, both players are going to have opportunities. You know, they're both players going to have opportunities to get back into the flow of things before the real playoffs start. And what I mean by that, the real playoffs, is the Western Conference and Eastern Conference Finals, and then the NBA Finals. Because we know that the Cavaliers and the Warriors are going to be in their conference finals. We know that. You know, bet your life on it, bet your house on it, whatever. So, and the one thing about Durant is that the knee injury, it looked a little worse than I think everyone's saying. He's out a month. We saw him in a wheelchair. I think people are overreacting to the photos of him in a wheelchair. He needs to get rest. They're taking extra precaution. It makes sense, right? You know, there's no reason for him to hurt it or rush him back because they're going to get round 1 and round 2 to play. Durant's going to be back. Love is going to be back. It's going to be the finals. It's going to be the Cavs. It's going to be the Warriors in the finals. You know, the reason Durant did not affect the Warriors' chances of winning. They did not go down by that much, right? I mean, they have a 3-game lead on San Antonio. You might see a Warriors OKC matchup, you know, in the first round. If that's the worst thing that happens to the Warriors, then whatever, right? I mean, there hasn't been a close OKC Golden State game this entire year. So why do you think when they have to play 7 of them or whatever it is, it'll probably be a 5-game series if I had to bet. It's not going to be a close series. The Warriors are going to win that. The only issue would be is if, well, Game 1 and Game 7 is in San Antonio in the Western Conference Finals. That's if San Antonio makes it to the Western Conference Finals, and even then Durant's going to be healthy. If the Warriors are playing their basketball and everyone's healthy, well, the Spurs aren't going to, pose a threat. They're not going to pose a threat. So I think everyone needs to calm down. Obviously, for Cleveland, the Darren Williams and Andrew Bogut additions are huge. They are huge. I think that makes it tougher for the Warriors. That hurt the Warriors' chances. Cleveland now is a backup point guard in Darren Williams. I mean, Darren Williams is their backup point guard. Andrew Bogut adds depth, adds height. He knows the Warriors. That's going to really help Cleveland. So that move, yes, hurts the Warriors' chances. Kevin Durant getting hurt minimally hurts their chances slightly if they lost the 1 seed, which probably won't happen. It could happen. And I mean, the Warriors lost 2 games, so be it. They're going to bounce back and they're going to go on a winning streak like we all know them to do. So people are overreacting about everything and it needs to stop. Now moving on, obviously I'm assuming everyone saw it today. In the NFL Combine, John Ross ran a 4.22. The NFL Combine record, beating Chris Johnson, who ran a 4.24. There was a promotion run by Adidas earlier this week that if anyone broke the record, they would be given a free island by Adidas or $1 million. There was fine print put in it by Adidas saying that if you didn't, wear the Adidas shoes while running it, well, it doesn't count. You have to sign an endorsement deal with them, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So it doesn't matter. John Ross isn't going to get $1 million, and he isn't going to get an island. So, you got to shame Adidas on this. They ran a promotion. They got a bunch of great publicity for it. Smart move, and they don't have to pay him they don't have to pay John Ross. They don't have to give him anything. I think it's cheap on Adidas' part, and it's stupid to run a promotion putting in all this fine print so no one can actually win. To go back to John Ross, the football player, a lot of times you see these guys run these quick 40s and they don't really do much as a football player, but this guy, John Ross, is different. He's, he has a bunch of skills. He's going to be a first-round pick. He's a great talent, catching, route running, whatever. He's the full package, and he can blow by you with 4.22 speed. So this isn't any Darius Hayward-Bay type situation or whatever. This guy's a real darn good football player. So we have 12 minutes left of the show today. I want to hear fans. I want to hear what they have to say, if they have any input or questions that they want to ask. But before I do that, I just want to get into the Duke-UNC basketball game that tips off at 8:15 tonight. So, I want to give my input. Obviously I'm a little biased, right? I'm a North Carolina fan. You can see this by what I'm wearing. But, it still shouldn't stop me from saying North Carolina is going to win this game tonight. There's multiple reasons. One, Isaiah Hicks is back playing tonight for North Carolina. That really hurt UNC in the first game for multiple reasons. One, they had to put a freshman in, Tony Bradley, playing in Cameron Indoor in the biggest game, the biggest college basketball game imaginable, as a freshman, right? So, that's going to be really tough for him. He didn't really do much. Isaiah Hicks is a very good player. He struggles with foul trouble, and, he's not going to give you 30 minutes probably because of foul trouble, but still, even 20, 25 minutes from Isaiah Hicks, he's athletic, he's a good shooter, rebounder. He adds size to North Carolina that Duke can't contend with. Duke doesn't have the size to contend with North Carolina. And that's how UNC has won the past few years. UNC's always had that size. Duke, the smaller, quicker guards, they'll shoot the three. But, not only does Isaiah Hicks coming back help North Carolina, right? Because he's a better player, but it's going to help the players around him. Kennedy Meeks is going to get better. Bradley's going to get better because he's going to play less minutes, less pressures off him. And we saw Meeks really struggle. Kennedy Meeks really struggled. Against North Carolina. He didn't rebound the ball. He didn't score. He just did not play well. And that's a player that has to play well for North Carolina to beat Duke. Right, and Isaiah Hicks is going to help that. I don't know. Is that Jake Tolchinsky throwing us the love? Thank you. But that Isaiah Hicks is going to help this team a lot. They're also at home, right? Being at home is going to be tremendous. We saw the atmosphere in Cameron Indoor. It is the best in all of college basketball. Just it's a tough place to play. It's not surprising when Duke hits a three, the place erupts. It's hard to carry momentum for long stretches, and when Duke gets just a little bit of momentum, it's easy for it to erupt because of that crowd. So not surprising there at all. So and also, in addition to them being home, UNC is going to be riled up. Remember, there's no ACC title on the line. Right, Notre Dame lost to Louisville today, so UNC is your outright champion of the ACC. Duke can't get any share of the title, nothing. So the game really doesn't matter, but it's Duke-UNC. So, the intensity is going to be high. The players, the fans, everywhere in the Duke-UNC community is going to care a lot about the game. So, and also, I want to say this, Justin Jackson has been balling like no other player in college basketball. The way he's been playing recently, he should be a contender for NCAA Player of the Year, right? He had one bad game against Virginia last, I think it was Monday night. They lost. I think that's even more reason why you should expect Justin Jackson to play really well. I expect him to come out strong, firing from deep, and I expect him to carry UNC the whole game. And also the team in general. They went to Blacksburg in Virginia and got their asses beat. They scored 42, 44, 43, I think it was 43 points in that game. The lowest total in, a ridiculous amount of time. It might have been in history. They averaged 86 points a game, and they scored 43 against Virginia, right? So that's crazy. You can't expect that to happen again. I think UNC is going to come out strong, and they really want it. A win tonight will really help their seeding implications for the tournament. Doesn't matter for the ACC tournament But a win tonight and then a trip to the finals will lock them up a 1 seed in the tournament, and that's what matters the most. I mean, the only way North Carolina loses this game is, like I said in my articles before, is Grayson Allen. He's the best player on the court. He's explosive. Same with Luke Kennard. I mean, they could hit 8 or 10 threes on you like that. And that's really the only way that I think UNC loses it. But with the home crowd, with Hicks back, depth, size, they're the better team in general, a little more motivation. I think UNC gets back in the win column and carries some nice momentum into the ACC tournament in Brooklyn. So that's all for the UNC Duke. I want to hear from the fans. So this is the first time I've ever done this, first time I've been on Blog Talk Radio. So bear with me if this doesn't work out perfectly the first time, but we have a caller coming in. I think it is my friend Cole Dirksen. Let me see how this works. Got to figure this out. Okay, let's bring him in. Hello, are you there? Is this Cole Dirksen? Welcome to the JR Report Show. So I heard you might have a few questions. Yeah, thank you very much. I heard you might have a few questions for us tonight that I would love to get to. Yeah, so great question. I mean, there's still a lot left in the NFL. There's still the draft. There's still free agency left. So it's hard to say for sure which team you would like to make a jump. But there are definitely a few teams that if they make a few right moves at certain positions, they could definitely see themselves back in the playoffs. I think the first team you have to look at is the former NFL Super Bowl champions, the Denver Broncos. They still have a great defense. They might cut Aqib Talib. I saw that as a rumor. I doubt that ends up happening. We'll see. But in all reality, Denver is just one quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contender. Think about 2 years ago. They won with Peyton Manning and Brock Osweiler, right? You saw Brock Osweiler this year in Houston. Absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible. Manning wasn't great either. He was, on the last legs of his career. He could barely throw the ball, 10 yards down the field. So, if Denver can get a quarterback, there's Tony Romo, I think, is a real possibility that could make a lot of sense. Or if they draft someone, I think there'd be quarterbacks there. They don't even need a great quarterback to have a good shot of winning. They just need a decent one like they had with Peyton Manning and Brock Osweiler. I also think Tennessee with Mariota, as long as he comes back healthy from the fibula injury, his was much worse than Derek Carr's. The division's pretty weak. I mean, Indy, they're rebuilding. Jacksonville's horrible. And the Texans still don't have a quarterback. The Texans are similar to Denver. If they get a quarterback, they could be a really darn good Super Bowl team. But without it, they're just an average team, that has a shot to make the playoffs but can't really make much noise. So, Tennessee has the pieces. They have DeMarco Murray. Mariota's a young, up-and-coming, good quarterback. And, they have a young defense that could be good with a few draft picks to help Mariota on the offense. Their offense could be really darn good for the future. They also have Delaney Walker, who's a dangerous tight end there. So those are two teams from the AFC. From the NFC, I think you would want to look at Arizona possibly, just because I think they had a bad year, and they could bounce back. But they're in a really tough division. Seattle's still there. Rams and Niners have to wait and see. And then, watch out for Tampa Bay. Watch out for Carolina. Two good quarterbacks. I think the Falcons take a step back. That's going to be a dogfight of a division. All four of those teams I could see making the playoffs. So, I hope, Cole, you still there? I hope that answers your question. Thank you very much. You're our first caller on the JR Report in history. You have another question? Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Yeah, that's a good question. So we only have 90 seconds left in the show, so I'm going to have to hurry this up. I think Justin Jackson, because of his size, just the size and length, I think will help him out. I mean, he's looking to be a 2 guard in the league, whereas Grayson Allen, he's a little bit smaller, so he's going to have to be a point guard. And I just, can you imagine Grayson Allen having to guard a Russell Westbrook or, an elite point guard in the NBA? I think that would be tough. I think, yeah, right. It would be hard to see that. So, I think he's going to be a good player. I think Jackson has more potential. Jackson will still need to get much quicker and more athletic to hang with the best 2 guards in the NBA. So that's all we have left for fans calling in today. Thank you very much, Cole, for being our first and only caller. Yeah, thank you. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in for our inaugural show. It was only 30 minutes. I wish there was more time so I could get some more topics. I want to hear from the fans. This is the reason why I'm doing it. I want to know what you guys have to say. I want to, hear from you guys. Ask questions, call in, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Thank you everyone for tuning in to Blog Talk Radio, and visit us on the J Report. Good night. Okay, signing off. Gotta let my roommate back in. Good fucking shit, bro.
It's hella.
Oh, no way.
This is, what is it?